Oh, so you a hardcore gamer, huh? You love a challenge? Okay, bring it. I ain't trying to hear your excuses around here. Okay? Bring it. Show me your skills, show me your talents, show me your attributes. I'm talking about Shadows of the Earth Tree. In that canyon where that dragon was sleeping, and it had the canyon had a little water, little lake running in it. Yeah, that dragon was saying to you players like, okay, so you're a hardcore gamer, huh? Okay, you love a challenge? Okay, bring it. And don't come around here with no crying or excuses. I ain't trying to hear it. Show me your skills. Yeah, Shadows of the Earth Tree. From Software, you guys are a fool for this DLC. Look, when I saw that dragon sleeping in the canyon, man, I just started laughing to myself like, here we go. I'm sitting here watching a YouTube streamer this morning, and he was fighting another dragon that like had one of his legs missing, and I think he had like one wing or something, and I'm like, just shaking my head like, that's more like it. So yeah, for all you gamers that are crying or complaining, you're not a hardcore gamer like you claim you are. Okay, you probably were one of those gamers that use a mod, use a cheat, or a glitch, or probably to beat a game. But if you take that away, but if I take that away from you and say, okay, beat the game with no cheat codes, no hacks, and no mods, you won't survive. See, with Elden Rings is this: you got to be always thinking. Your mind got to be in constant rotation. Every boss on that game has a weak point. Every boss on that game has a weak point, has a weakness, has a weak point, and that's what you got to figure out what it is. Okay, it's usually not the game, it's you. So every boss is different. Every boss has a strength. I mean, they have strengths, they have weakness, they have stuff that they're not used to. So you got to figure that part out. Once you figure it out, you can beat those bosses in the Shadows of the Earth Tree. That's what you got to do. Okay? Yeah. So I'm seeing articles here from PC Games. PC Games in WCCF Tech about players complaining about Elden Rings, and I'm like, nah. Yeah, see, a lot of these gamers that play Elden Rings, you gotta learn to you gotta learn how to move. Learn how to move in that game. Learn how to move. Learn how to dodge. You study the boss's movements. That's what you do. You study his movement, and you have to time it too. You have to time it. And once you time it right, you can beat him. Okay. And once you get the process down, man, you can beat all those bosses. Yeah. And that's the beauty of video games, man. It's like a math problem. You got to figure it out. Anyway, what's up, people? Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. Listen, it says Elden Ring players frustrated as DLC way harder than the base game. It says frustrated players leaving negative reviews. Oh, see, frustrated players, they have to study. They have to frustrated players got to go back to the drawing board and study. They can beat those bosses. They probably gave up too easy. But anyway, it says here, Shadows of the Earth Tree is finally out now, and a majority of the fandom has hopped on the game again. Nearly 62% of players didn't beat Mong, so they had to clear a final obstacle before entering the DLC. This was enough of a hint for players that the DLC wasn't going to be a pushover. Mong is one of the most difficult bosses in Elden Ring, so beating him is a hint of things to come. Many are now enjoying the experience. But some players are negatively reviewing the DLC because it's way harder than they expected. Why it matters: Shadows of the Erdtree consists of From Software hardest bosses. Miyazaki claims. The team also said that it won't be making future games easier. He says over on Steam, many players have pointed out to the incredible hard-hitting attacks the enemies possess in Shadows of the Erdtree. The normal enemies can two-shot you even if you have 60 vigor. So other have pointed to specific bosses like Mishimur, claiming that they are way too strong. However, there's an easy solution to most of the problem. The DLC has an offering knowing as a scatter tree blessing, which comes in handy. The blessing will increase your damage output and reduce damage you take. We recommend applying these consumables from the Site of Grace, as they are permanent buff. However, you would have to collect them as they scatter throughout the realm of shadows. And then it says, that said, we don't understand why people are negatively reviewing the game without understanding everything. Exactly. Let me explain to you. It says here, the DLC expected to be hard, so why are players surprised now? This is a pattern with From Software games, and the team already states that the DLC presents more of a challenge than the base game. Overall, this should have not been surprising. So some fans claim that the bosses are harder than Melina, and completely agree the never-ending combos and the damage scaling are way higher. While we agree that From Software went to great lengths with this one, we believe relying on specific strategies can be beneficial. Players can also try out Flame Protect or Black Flame Protection. Okay, let me help you with this. Let me help you with Shadows of the Erdtree. Alright, this is what you do. Before you take on a boss in that game, try to find weapons that apply to that boss that gives off more damage. Before you take on that boss in the canyon, or whatever boss you decide to fight, before you take him on, go look for the weapon that does the most damage on that specific boss, and then go on from there. The other thing you want to do too is level up, increase your damage, increase your life, increase your life, your health, and you build your characters up. It will be just like playing Final Fantasy. Before you take on a boss, let's say Final Fantasy 12. Let me use 12 for a minute. Love 12, by the way. You will go on raid missions to build up first, and then try to find stuff before you take on that boss for that map. And once you get to a certain point, and you collect what you need to collect, then you're better prepared before you take on that boss. And the thing is this: you have to study the boss's patterns. So the people that are complaining, to me, they don't understand gaming at all. They really don't understand video games. They don't study bosses. They just think, okay, we go straight to the boss. We go straight to the boss of that game, and then of that level, and then we fight it, and then that's it. No, you have to level up first. You have to find out what weapon works great or works good against that specific boss for that level, and then you got to increase your health, your life, everything, and then get some potions that does damage to that boss, along with the weapon damage. So you got to do your research on these bosses before you take them on, and that's what you're gonna have to do in Elden Rings. Yeah. So when I saw that dragon sleeping in the canyon, man, having four wings and 4 feet and electricity running all over it, I'm like, yeah. So yeah, you have to do your research before you take on these bosses, man. You have to level up first. See, Elden Rings, you're not gonna just run through the game or do a speed run. No, 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 no. You can't use no mods or no cheats or no hacks, because you're not gonna be satisfied in the way you beat the game. But when you beat the game straight up with your own skills, wisdom, understanding, and all that, yeah, and insight, and yeah, you'll be better satisfied. So before you take on a boss in that game, man, study that boss, man, and figure out what's his strengths, what's his weakness, what weapons don't work against it, what weapon do work, how much damage does it give off, what do you gotta have to like what do you gotta have, what kind of armor or stuff that you gotta have before you take on that boss. And that's what you do. You have to and then you got to study the boss's movement and try to pinpoint a weak spot and try to figure out the weak point or the weak spot. And once you figure it out, you'll beat it. I mean, you'll beat that specific boss for that for that level. So yeah, and that's what it's gonna take, man. So for those that are complaining, go back to the drawing board and study that boss and figure out, okay, what works, what don't work, what do I have to have, what do I don't need to have, what potions or what spells work against this specific boss, okay? And then you got to study the movements and of his attacks and figure out, okay, when to attack, when not to, and take it from there. But you guys will figure it out, man. But yeah. But those bosses are like, really? So you call yourself a hardcore gamer, huh? Okay. You love a challenge? Okay. Show me what you got. Bring it. Yeah. So that's what Elden Rings does, man. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it tests your it tests your Elden Ring tests your insight, your wisdom, your understanding, your know-how, it tests your gaming skills and see where you are as a gamer, man. So yeah, but for those people that are complaining, man, maybe it's too early to take on that boss. Maybe you need to just go through the map and look for things, search all over the map before you know where they are. You know where the bosses are on the map. You know where they all are. But before you get to any one of them, the best thing to do is this: search. Go through the entire map looking for stuff. Forget the boss. Like, forget him. I'm not going to take you on yet. I'm not ready yet. I ain't ready to take you on yet. Go through the map. Look for stuff. Find it. Find out all the weapons. What work. And then you got to figure out. You got to set up an attack or a way you're going to go about fighting this boss. And what you're gonna do, So yeah, you could even like go take him on just to see, okay, what does it? You take him on just to see what he consists of, what is his attacks, and study his patterns. Like, okay, and see where you are level wise and weapon wise. And like, okay, maybe I'm not strong enough yet. You know what? I'll come back to you later. I got to go over here and get this. And once you do that, yeah. Your gaming skills. You will enjoy Elden Rings, man. But don't take on the bosses just yet. Each one of them got a weak point. You just got to search through the map and try to look for hidden stuff, and figure out what weapon, what spells work, what weapons work. If you're an archer, you might try to beat the game with an archer, like the ones that use crossbows, and then try to fight the boss from distance. So you got to figure out, okay, am I a up in your face type of person, or am I a long distance gamer, stuff like that. So those bosses, you can beat them, but you just got to figure out you got to set up a strategy on how you're gonna go about doing it, and then that should help you, But anyway, that's my thoughts on it though. But based on what I've seen so far. Yeah, you Elden Ring fans got your work cut out for you, man. You really do. You got your work cut out for you. So yeah, take your time, man, and search out that map. You know, don't take on the bosses yet. Search that map out. Take on mid. Don't take on the main boss yet. Take on mid-level bosses to increase your dexterity, all that. And keep but when it's time to take him on, it's time to take him on. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be better prepared and be better ready. So yeah. Anyway, that's my advice for you on Elden Rings, man. So hope that helps. So yeah. And just because the boss beat you and you didn't beat him the first time or the second time or the third time, go back at it again. He or she can be defeated. So yeah. Some games are like that, man. They test you, they push you, to see what you're gonna do, yeah, and then go on from there. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Wait a minute, I'm sitting here running my mouth. Here. Hope I'm missing it. It says not recommended. It says I know many hand wave away any criticism of this game as said or reply it's good, get good, but as a fan of From Software games since Demon Souls, this game has felt like most punitive and least satisfying of the game. While the settings is undoubtedly beautiful, there's a fascinating story and an interesting character. The design philosophy of the game especially is punishing. To put it mildly, the game feels as if the characters has the move sets of Dark Souls with additions to counter guards and jumping attacks, while the enemies have the move set of Bloodborne. Foes and the trekking Suikoden enemies, foes of the games are more punishing than ever, with delay attacks enhanced, taking better AI while the works. It feels like a bit too much of an in some instance. It feels like almost every enemy has some 20-80 degree combo spin, a giant axe. What do you say? You're in both. In addition to challenging, look, man. Before you take on the main boss of any level, you want to search out the map. Just search out the map and see what you can find. Figure out what suits, armor you need for that boss. Take on mid-level bosses before you take on the main ones, and increases your increases your strengths and abilities. Every boss in a game has a weakness, man. Every one of them. No boss is invincible. So you got to search out things first. Search out the map first and see what you can find and what you come up with. And you can give the boss a test run just take him on for like 1 or 2 times just to see what he's gonna come with. But then don't go back and take him on again. If you challenge him 2 times and you lost, like okay, like take down data, like okay, when I face this boss or this character, they did this, and this. They did this amount of damage to me, blah 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 blah. Okay, now what can I do to overcome this? And that's what you got to say to yourself now, instead of that's what you got to say to yourself, and then try to figure it out. But once you figure it out, man, the game will be much fun, because some people complain about Dark Souls, but they don't study game mechanics, they don't study movements, they don't study environments, they don't search out the map, to see what they can find. They don't figure out like, okay, what do I need? They don't figure out like, okay, what works against this particular character, or what works, what don't work, what do I need to have, stuff like that. All that plays a part before you take on the boss of that level, so yeah. and you know, they don't study movements, and you know, they don't yeah, there's a lot of things they don't do. That's why a lot of times when in these games, man, they don't do so good, you know. So before you take on any bosses in Elden Rings, man, search out the map and see what you can find, you know, and then take on mid-level bosses and see where you are. But before you take on the main one for that stage or that dungeon or whatever, yeah, do some research, or they say do some homework, man. Yeah, but those bosses can be beaten. You know, the developer wouldn't put those bosses in the game if they know the player couldn't beat them. They wouldn't do that. So they know the players can beat them. They know the players can beat the bosses. It's the players that got to do more to overcome that specific boss for that game, man. You know, and then go on from there. So people that might be review bombing Elden Rings right now, they probably were expecting the game to be the same. You know, they probably were expecting the game just to be the same as the base game. No, the expansion is a step up. So they have to. Those players have to step their game up. They have to do more, and they're gonna have to push themselves to challenge themselves and do things differently to beat that specific boss. But every boss in that game can be beaten. The question is how you go about doing it. Okay. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars and Star Trek Flying Board, Dark Side. Go. Peace.